Imagine walking down a busy street and seeing a man wrapped in a dirty blanket sleeping on the pavement. Most of us would probably just walk right by, right? Well, today in this explainer, we're looking at a story that is just as deeply tragic as it is endlessly fascinating. We're diving into the life of a man who possessed a mind of absolute, unparalleled linguistic brilliance, yet actively chose to live in the shadows of society. We're going to break down exactly how a boy with literally zero formal education became an absolute master of Urdu poetry, only to end his days as an unrecognized beggar on the streets. It's a story about genius, intense pain, and ultimate mastery.
I have lived life like a continuous oppression. I don't remember the crime for which I am being punished. Just take a second to really absorb the profound emotion in that couplet. What's truly shocking here is that these delicate, beautiful words were written by a man who was found dead on a scorching July afternoon back in 1974, just lying on a footpath near the Data Darbar in Lahore. Passersby were literally holding their noses. They assumed he was just another nameless addict who had passed away. They just saw a beggar. But the reality? That discarded figure was Saghar Sidique, a man who possessed one of the greatest poetic minds of the entire 20th century.
And honestly, this right here perfectly illustrates the central mystery we're unpacking today. We've got this stark, almost unbelievable contrast. On one side, his external reality, a man wrapped in a dirty blanket, living on footpaths, widely perceived as a beggar. But then, on the other side, his internal reality, a literary titan who edited magazines, defeated absolute legends on stage, and commanded the Urdu language like very, very few ever have. So how does a person build such a monumental internal talent while living in such extreme external deprivation? Like, how did he actually master the craft of Urdu poetry? Well, let's get into it. To figure that out, we have to go back to the beginning, back before the legend, to see how a young boy named Muhammad Akhtar actually transformed into Saghar Sidique. So, born around 1928, this boy built his incredible linguistic foundation without ever setting foot in a formal school or madrasa. Not once. His ascent was shockingly fast. By age 8, he was picking up Urdu from a local elder named Habib Hassan, and he mastered reading and writing so quickly that grown adults in his neighborhood were actually coming to this 8-year-old kid to write their personal letters for them. By the time he was 13 or 14, he had moved to Amritsar to scrape by, earning a job making wooden combs. But here is the absolute secret to his mastery. While his hands were busy carving that wood, his brain was actively carving verses. He was constantly, obsessively composing and refining couplets in his head. This kind of intense mental multitasking trained his brain to naturally think in poetic meter. It became second nature. By age 15 or 16, this teenage comb maker was literally getting his poetry published in top-tier literary magazines like Adab-e-Latif. But raw talent only gets you so far, right? To truly become a master, he needed a forge. He needed to be tested. He found that test in Amritsar's vibrant literary hub through a brutal, highly technical obstacle course known as the Tarahi Mushaira. Think of this as the ultimate boss fight for a poet. A master of ceremonies basically gives you a single bass line called a misra-e-tara, with a very specific meter and rhyme scheme. You then have to write a completely original poem that fits exactly into that rigid framework on the fly, and do it well enough to impress a room full of literary elites. It was a trial by fire. By constantly throwing himself into these, Saghar honed his poetic reflexes to absolute perfection. It became muscle memory. He didn't just know the rules of poetry anymore. They were completely hardwired into his nervous system. To give you a taste of the emotional maturity this rigorous training produced, just listen to this early couplet. I have nothing but sparks in my lap, and you seem to be buyers of flowers. When Saghar first started sharing verses like this, his friends literally didn't believe him. No way. They actually accused him of stealing other people's poetry. And honestly, you kind of can't blame them. I mean, who would expect a 15-year-old boy dealing with crushing poverty to write with such incredible depth and emotional resonance? But the literary world soon realized he definitely wasn't faking it. The kid was a prodigy, and soon he was going toe-to-toe with the absolute masters of the craft. By the 1940s and 50s, his fame had skyrocketed. He was dominating symposiums everywhere, and he even wrote and recorded Pakistan's first unofficial national anthem in his own deeply soulful voice. But his ultimate test of mastery, that came in 1958. Okay, picture this. We're at the Lyallpur cotton mill for a massive Tarahi Mushaira. Presiding over the whole event is Jigar Moore the Body, an absolute titan of Urdu literature who rarely considered anyone his equal. The challenge line is announced. Several established poets go up, recite their attempts, and step down. Then Saghar Sidique takes the stage. The crowd is already buzzing, yelling, "Wah, wah," as he builds up to his final verse. And then he drops this masterpiece. "I have often seen, Saghar, on the path of love, the guide is frequently missing from the caravan." The delivery, the profound meaning, the absolutely perfect adherence to the meter, it was a mic drop. Literally. It was so flawless that the legendary Jigar Moore actually took his own written poem, folded it up, and put it back in his pocket. He publicly declared that it would be completely pointless to recite anything after hearing Saghar. I mean, that right there, that is the definition of absolute mastery. But as is the case with so many brilliant, highly sensitive minds, there was a dark, tragic turn waiting for him. See, Saghar was a man of extreme emotional sensitivity. He didn't really have a family, he faced constant worldly rejections, and his heart was it was simply too fragile for the harsh realities of the world. Unable to cope, he completely abandoned his successful, normal life. By the 1960s, the celebrated poet in the spotlight was gone. In his place was a man wandering barefoot through the streets of Lahore. His hair was matted into dreadlocks, he was wrapped in a dirty, dark blanket, and he sought total self-oblivion through hashish and morphine. He didn't just want to take the edge off, he wanted to completely disconnect from reality. And this brings us to a number that is it's truly devastating to see. 5 rupees. Because he constantly needed money for his morphine injections, opportunistic publishers would literally track him down on the streets. Saghar would write a masterful, gold standard ghazal on the spot, and they would buy it from him for a paltry 5 rupees. 5. They'd then publish his absolute genius under other people's names or in their own books, making massive profits while he slowly killed himself on the pavement. What's really fascinating, though, is his stubborn, almost deliberate commitment to this tragic lifestyle. He wasn't just a passive victim here. He actively chose this path of renunciation. He'd composed these literary masterpieces on the backs of discarded cigarette packs. When friends did manage to track him down and give him large sums of cash to help him out, he would immediately turn around and distribute it to other beggars, famously saying, "The fakir is very happy today." When those same friends tried to trick him into signing papers to get him treated in a mental asylum, he fiercely refused. In his final years, his closest companion in the world was a stray dog. He'd share his meager food with it and huddle with it for warmth during those freezing Lahore winters. Yet, despite his mind being heavily clouded by narcotics for years, his mastery never ever faltered. Listen to this. "When I looked at my torn collar, I found the Eid moon. Where did the Eid moon forget my destiny?" He wrote that while living in absolute heartbreaking squalor. Because he had spent his entire youth mentally composing while carving wood and surviving the fierce trials of those Tarahi Mushairas, the poetry was it was in his bones. The addiction could completely destroy his physical body, sure,
but it couldn't touch his absolute mastery of the Urdu language.
And eventually, after his tragic end, the rest of the world finally woke up to what they had lost.
When Saghar Sidique died on that footpath in 1974, the initial news was just a tiny, easily ignored half-inch column in the local papers. But the bitter irony of his legacy quickly caught up. Just look at this contrast. Before his death, he was exploited for 5 rupees. After, his works were translated into English, French, Punjabi, and Hindi, celebrated globally. He lived on the streets with a stray dog. Yet 50 years after he was buried, the government of Pakistan awarded him the Sitara-e-Imtiaz in 2023. That's one of their highest civilian honors. He died a nameless addict to the people walking by, but today, his tombstone is proudly engraved with the title Poet of the Dervishes, and devoted fans cover his grave with hundreds of fresh flowers every single year.
All of this leaves us with a final, really haunting question to chew on. Did society fail Saghar Sidique by allowing a true master to die alone on the streets? Or did Saghar, through his deliberate renunciation of the material world and his unyielding, pure dedication to his craft, actually transcend a society that he felt was just too hypocritical to live in? He mastered the language, absolutely, but he completely refused to play the world's game. It's definitely something to deeply consider. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the stories behind the mastery.